What's going on, Aces? Welcome back to the channel. This is the Love and Marriage Huntsville recap, episode 24, titled Rodger That. And it's aptly titled that because Melody definitely reclaimed her time and her birth name. I'm so proud of her. So this episode opens up with Nell and Chris Fletcher. They're in the club dancing, reconnecting, keeping things in their marriage hot and spicy. Okay, I don't know if it's hot and spicy, but it's nice to see that after 30 years, they still say that they love to dance. And, they're talking about Martell coming to the house while Chris Fletcher was at the office. And basically, him and Nell kind of getting into it a little bit. Nell Fletcher, she is becoming, well, she's definitely the pot stirrer this season. I would think even more so than Keke, but she's definitely becoming a fan favorite. She tells Chris, who has a much more laid back demeanor than his wife, that Martell got a little bit loud with her. And Martell is just, his lack of self-awareness. I think he does things um and with the mindset of, either he won't get caught or he's just extremely immature, because he essentially was asking, Nell and Chris to quote unquote pick sides. Sir, we are not an elementary school. I feel like he really is stuck in some kind of you know, underdeveloped mindset. And, it's unfortunate because a lot of people, as I grow older, and I'm not super old myself, but as I grow older, I'm realizing that a lot of people don't hit developmental milestones and they don't necessarily grow in maturity, even if they're growing biologically. But anyway, Chris said that he's going to have a talk with Martell, and he wants to defend his wife, which is what Nell was looking for. And to be honest, I don't blame her, because Chris should have been home when Martell came with the bottles of wine. Anyway, so then we move on to Stormi and Miss, Tiffany, right? I am really proud of Stormi because I feel like she's come a long way since last season. She and Tiffany, they meet at a home decor store, and they bring up Keke, and they bring up, Stormi brings up the Carlos King interview, and Tiffany, she's attempting to deflect. She's attempting to, kind of protect her I don't know, I guess what she said on Carlos King, right? Her character. And Stormi's like, no, you pretty much said that you were better than Keke. I mean, I don't know the words verbatim. She's like, but it's not necessary, because that's what was implied and that's what came across to everybody when I watched, the Carlos King interview. And she's absolutely right. I agree with everything that she said. I do believe that Tiffany thinks that she's better than Keke. I do believe that she is scared of Keke as well, because if you see the preview for the next episode, she definitely brings baby Ace as her little protector when she goes to talk with Keke. But I'm glad that Stormi said what she said. I'm glad that she's basically trying to squash the beef between Keke and Tiffany. But here's the thing. I think Tiffany feels like she's not only better than Keke, I feel like she constantly takes digs at almost every single person in the group. If you guys remember at the expo, they didn't invite her on the panel and they didn't invite her to speak. Someone asked a question about venture capitalism or something along those lines of angel investors and something like that. And Tiffany was like, well, I could have answered that. Ma'am, we still don't know what you do. We know that you were, I don't want to say fired from the Chamber of Commerce, but you no longer work there, right? Your services were no longer needed. So outside of having baby Ace and Lou being gone all the time, we don't know what's going on a lot with the Whitlows. So other than you being, and a lot of people online were calling her a biracial Karen, which I think is funny because, again, I feel like she lacks that self-awareness that um, that Utah side of her really comes out a lot of ways. You can tell that I think that she's internalized a lot of anti-Blackness, not even just projecting onto Keke and the rest of the panel within herself, because she constantly self-sabotages a lot. And I don't think that she realizes that. But let's move on from my psychoanalysis to Melody, who I'm super proud of. So she has, a name change ceremony in which she invites her friends, her family, her loved ones. Her pastor is reading, her name change, and then, her mom gives a quick speech, and, Miss Vanessa is always very classy and, really supportive of Melody. And then Melody reads the official decree, moving, changing her name officially from Melody Cherie Holt to now Melody Cherie Rogers, her maiden name, her God given name. And they were just telling, how important it is to, her namesake, take, ownership back of her name and her identity as a single woman. So, speaking of messiness and single woman, or I shouldn't say single woman, but Nell comes and I wouldn't say she like tries to ruin the moment for Melody. I think that she's trying to earn her permanent position on the show. I feel like she hasn't put as much time and effort into being on the past seasons as the Scotts, who I don't think that they were actually even in this episode. Either Kimmy, Maurice, Tisha, or Marsa, to be honest. So they took a break. But Nell comes and basically conveys to Melody that Martell was upset that, her and Chris were in attendance, and that, he feels he's in his Ike Turner feelings, right? When it comes to her name, you're like, well, that was my daddy's name and I gave her that name. And Melody's like, if that's not the most immature, narcissistic BS, this is exactly why, I'm divorced, I'm moving on, I'm having a name change ceremony. And she's right. I'm not a millimeter by any stretch of the imagination. Those who are, I absolutely support you guys. Nobody's perfect, right? So everybody makes mistakes. Melodies has done and said some things I haven't agreed with, but on this, stand 10 toes down in it. Because why is it after 2 years they've been divorced? Does he care? She could have a party wearing a itty bitty yellow polka dot bikini, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, why does he care? And he's talking about you shouldn't go to her party and pick sides. Like, he really acts like he's on a schoolyard at recess somewhere. Like, the fact that he said pick sides, that's what it reminded me of. Like, what in the Babysitter's Club is going on? Sir, you're in your 40s. I need you to move out of the Fletcher's house and, move on with your life with Ariane Curry or whoever, you choose to date, Sheree, whoever. Why are you worried about what Melody is doing or who is attending her party? It's her party and she can cry if she wants. She can, do whatever she wants. That's what happens when you get divorced. And Nell, her name change ceremony was not really the time to bring up, the fact that Martell. To be honest, I wouldn't have been, the message girl. Period. Right? Like, I wouldn't have said anything because to me, Martell's opinion was null and void. But I understand that she had a job to do, and so she's trying to again cement her and Chris's place permanently on the show. So she had to be a little bit messy. Okay, so then going on to Stormi, we meet her COO, and he was basically saying that, he realizes that last year she almost lost the house, the business. I think her business license was suspended. So, she started crying because her signature was forged and somebody close to her, really hurt her really badly. But with her business savvy and her hard work, they're building the company up back from, from zero. So congratulations, Stormi. I hope that you are doing very well in your business today. And, one monkey don't stop no show. Okay. So the ending scene, right? We have Nell and Chris Fletcher, their entire family. So they both came into the marriage with one child from a previous relationship. And then they had two children together, and Nell's niece is there as well. So basically, we learn about all the adult kids and their issues. Like, she had to fire her niece and she's worried about her maintaining gainful employment. And then their son, Chris Jr., he went to jail and they had to take his dogs in, take them to the vet. And they said that they want their money and they will give the dogs back when they get their money. Chris is like, I want my dogs. And Nell's like, yeah, well, I want my money. And so I think their youngest daughter was like, whoa, flag on the play. And Nell's like, shut up. She starts screaming at her. Like, what in the dysfunctional family dinner is going on? Like, come on, Nell. You can't invite your adult children over only to yell and cuss them out. But that's old Black Southern mamas for you. Anyway, and it ends with Chris going out and talking with, I think his stepdaughter. She's there with her husband. And I know he was looking real nervous, like, what is going on? But she said, you weren't there for me until I was like 28. He's like, what? Chris is like, what? He's like, get out. So it was messy, but it was very entertaining. You guys drop down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on the situation. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I will talk to you later. Take care, Aces. Bye.